It seems at times that the media portray President Trump almost as a cartoon character who's always a half a step away from plunging off the cliff into absolute disaster. That he just, is going to slip on the banana peel, and the next thing you know, he'll be impeached, indicted, out of office, in deep trouble, he'll lose Congress. I mean, you just look at the day-to-day, really the hour-to-hour, given today's news cycle. I mean, here on one hand, you have the president being portrayed as a king on the cover of Time magazine, seeking absolute power, boasting that he can't be indicted, even if he shoots James Comey, the way that Rudy Giuliani put it, that he has the power to pardon himself, that the Mueller investigation is unconstitutional. And then you have him in danger of, losing both houses of Congress, and that, of course, would lead to impeachment, even though the Democrats say that that's not the case. Or you have him, dividing the country by disinviting the Philadelphia Eagles. Or you have him insulting Canada, first with the tariffs, and then, according to reports on CNN and Canadian broadcasting, telling Justin Trudeau that, hey, didn't you guys burn down the White House? In other words, he didn't know the basic facts of the War of 1812. I can't believe I'm discussing the War of 1812. But for all of that, there's a new NBC Wall Street Journal poll out that shows the president rising to 44% approval. Now, that's kind of a normal range for a president. It's not a great number. It's not over 50%, but Barack Obama spent many years at 44% approval. Now, it's true this poll also says that, 50% want a Democratic Congress, 40% want a GOP Congress by about a 25-point margin. People say they'd vote for a candidate who would act as a check on President Trump. I don't put that much stock in these because they're ultimately local races. Most of these districts aren't even competitive. But the point is, there is such a gap between the constant danger and the constant divisiveness with which this president is portrayed, and the fact that he's now up to a perfectly normal 44% and has almost universal support of the Republican Party. In fact, he is the Republican Party, with the exception of a few lawmakers who are either contrarian or just not running again. So how is this possible? Well, it's the economy, stupid. That's a big deal. 3.8% unemployment. That's basically full employment. President gets some of the credit, according to these polls and according to just common sense. And, I think that although, a chunk of the country obviously can't stand this president, all of the churning that goes on here inside the Beltway, on the investigations and Russia and tariffs and all of this stuff, Stormy Daniels, very important issue. It is important in the sense that he's entrapped in a legal proceeding here that could or could not lead to something. But I think that journalists and pontificators and pollsters follow all this a lot more closely than average Americans, who are happy if they are getting a better job, or if they seem to have more job security, or if wages are slowly creeping up. And, they care more about the kitchen table issues and their daily lives. And that, I think, is where it comes in. And finally, this is an unusual president who attacks people on Twitter, who sometimes engages in feuds and exaggerations. I think the country is finally, after more than 16 months, getting more used to this president. The fact that he suddenly declared he'd go to a South Korea summit, a North Korea-South Korea summit, meeting with Kim Jong-un of the North this weekend in Singapore. Then it was off, then it was on. This is we're just getting more used to the way he conducts himself as president. The media still does not like it, but it doesn't seem as unusual and bizarre as it once did. So maybe the country is adjusting the president. Maybe the president is learning the levers of power. This is not to say that Donald Trump is not controversial. This is not to say he'd rather be over 50%. But that poll number in this latest snapshot, and polls go up and down, really should serve as a reality check for a mainstream media that always consistently continues to see him as one step ahead of disaster.